So since it's the first meeting of the board, since we have rules of procedure and we do not yet have officers, I, Eric Tucker, the assistant to the Ordinance Review Committee, will call the meeting to order and ask for nominations for the position of chair.
I second, that's right.
Is there any discussion, or would you like to vote on Sherry as chair? All in favor?
Yep. You're it, girl.
Now, I will turn it over to Sherry to call for nominations for the position of vice chair.
I would like to nominate Dwayne. He actually got in touch with me and asked me if he could be in that position.
And so Sherry, you're making that motion, and Jim, you are seconding that. All in favor? Turn it over now. So as I say, Sherry, I have worked up an opening statement for you or anybody here to read. We want to seem welcoming, but yet lay down the,
Do you want sort of all of this?
so why don't you go ahead and read it and see how you feel about it?
I just have a question. Do we always hold? Oh, the select board, sorry.
Nope.
Yep, sorry. That's good.
Is there a time limit for these meetings, or how long do they usually?
5:30 to 7. It's part of the new rules and procedures. Yeah. You had been here last week. Oh, did you get this yet?
The only thing if you would like to communicate with the board, communications will include the knowledge of whether, shouldn't they be, again, addressed to the chairman? Madam Chairman can certainly get them out to the rest of us.
Right. Yeah, some people are better served for some of these.
I copied and pasted this directly out of the rules, so I mean, shall is a little form, so workshops are open to the public.
What number was that on?
5. Workshops are open. And I would
Where
probably,
did you
I would probably in number
add
3.
add that?
It's just
Number
purely a note, I
3,
guess.
committee members can ask,
Right.
soften it up. As I say, I was just copying and pasting, trying to get this ready for 5:30.
Committee members
Can ask questions of the general public or, interested parties.
Where did you put all questions should be addressed to the chair?
All communications, because there are no questions being addressed to you.
Okay.
Number 5, if you would like to communicate with the board, you may submit. If you would like to communicate with the board, you may submit a communication
Comment in writing.
Yeah, in writing to the chairman of the committee.
So if people have like reports or evidence that should be considered, it has to be submitted 5 days prior. But if they bring it here and it's something that we want, then.
You
we could
have
try
the
to-
authority to ask for things that you want. So if, for example, Pat, who, worked on the marijuana committee or, like if you would like to ask questions, you can do that, but they can't just say, I'd like to
Right.
speak.
Right. Mike, were you on that committee?
No. That's why I was going to say committee members can ask questions of the general public or
Yeah.
interested party,
Right.
they're interested parties.
I can imagine that we would be asking questions like.
And I can soften up the language in 5, let me,
Okay.
but as I say, I was just trying to get something in hand for us to work on for tonight,
Do you think there's any need for me to read this?
not with the people.
No, because you all heard about it immediately, didn't I?
I think it would be important too, to, maybe it doesn't have to be in here, but certainly over time, you're gonna have different things that you're addressing, testing facility, something else, and
To have that on the agenda.
As to what the letter, what the
Oh,
communication.
so somewhere the word pertinent should be in there, not just people expounding on.
well, what I'm thinking about, if I were chair and I went through my kind of friendly reminders here, there might be a place here that I'd certainly like to ad lib a little bit and say, you know, we've got a special circumstance tonight because something is different, so I don't know how you would kind of add that in other than to, maybe the chairman just says, I got a couple of other things that I want to add into
Sure.
this, I don't know, but no, it really needs to be part of it.
Right, like Mike does with the planning board, I will remind you that this is.
Right.
Right.
But I do think it's helpful for consistency that at the beginning of every meeting, the chair or vice chair,
Absolutely.
you know, state to people who may have come that have.
But this won't be right in the rules and procedures, so we
No.
can, this could be a work in progress.
Yes.
We could change this up.
I took it directly from the rules because that seemed to, your rules, your practices should be consistent with your rules.
And would this be similar for if we went on a site visit somewhere?
Yes.
We would do this, we'd announce this at the site visit, probably tour. Okay. We don't see us doing a lot of site visits,
Right.
but there definitely will be those opportunities, I think.
So Madam Chair, it's up to you to decide whether you would like to, again, I mean, and normally on the agenda, it would include what topics we were going to be, you know, under consideration of ordinances for the future. I would have what ordinances I thought we were, as I say, this all came together. We only got these rules adopted on Monday, so we're not as organized. But I think I know I sent, either passed out or sent everyone copies of the 4 ordinances.
Do you have them all?
Yeah, she definitely has them.
I thought I'd jump over to number 4, to communications. Do we have any communications? We're gonna go right to consideration of these ordinances. I have these labeled. I was trying to come up with a label. I think, to do these in order, and I think we decided that adult use marijuana retail store ordinance would be the first one.
Yeah.
Is that how everyone remembers that?
That's the way I remember it.
Marijuana cultivation was clear.
Is it just Wayne is the other person on this committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure
Oops.
that we had everybody.
We have any different? He's in Rangeley. Very excited that we have rules. That's how you do it? I only did, oh, I do, I got
Retail
2,
was 1.
but I didn't do
First
3.
one. Cultivation was the second, manufacturing was third, and fourth.
So do we want to just start by starting with paragraph 1 and going right to A? And I understand, again, that these were taken right from the state's, mostly the state's ordinance, so they can't be too, so there's a lot of this that we really can't change.
The only thing that I saw in A, or all the titles ought to just be bold so that,
Oh, like title,
yeah, like Title 28B is in bold, but
But-
the MRSA 3001.
And you
ought to
want
be-
that bolded?
I just think that all
For
of those
consistency?
things would,
Okay.
okay,
consistency, and it stands out, it's, I noticed that on, and that's pretty much how it was on all of them. some were
weren't,
bold and
so,
some weren't.
so we'll just blanket that.
You know, they were
Whatever
just-
we're referencing another.
Right.
Yeah, those just not. And I think that on.
And we, it's, in interacting with the marijuana committee and other folks in town, it is terribly easy to get medical marijuana mixed up in it. Part D says this ordinance does not apply to personal, medical, or caregiver cultivation. That wouldn't be hard to put an underline under that, would it?
We're still on page 1, Don, where?
Yeah, B,
On B,
section
just,
1.
just to give it a tiny bit more highlight so that when people
Yes.
read it, they
Yes.
go, oh,
Or maybe
okay.
those aren't.
Personal,
okay.
medical, not.
So this is recreational, is that the right term?
Absolutely.
So maybe that should be in bold.
So, I'm sorry, did we insert a word into B, or just this ordinance does not apply to personal, medical, or caregiver cultivation, and have that bolded?
Bolded or underlined?
Emboldened probably might be good.
Okay.
Yeah. Because none of them pertain to, none of the four pertain to medical caregivers, correct?
They're working on it.
No,
Correct, it's totally,
yeah, that's
Right.
coming.
okay. So why don't we make that,
Can you put it in the title? That it's not medical?
I think if it's just bold on all four of those.
Okay.
If we make that whole title thing bigger, it gets really confusing.
I would make that, I will personally make that, the font consistent from title to text, and then bold. I just
Yeah.
inherited them as.
Okay. Are we good with,
Is this, I'm
No,
catching up with everybody,
no.
sorry. The adult use marijuana retail store ordinance, is that like the standard term that's used through the state of Maine? Is the title for this ordinance?
I didn't hear him.
do you have copies of these? She said, is that the standard term, adult use marijuana retail store ordinance? Is that the pretty
That's how
standard?
it's classified,
At the state level?
yes.
Because I wondered that too, like, could you just take out adult use, but that has to
No,
be
that's
part of that.
what it
Okay,
is.
Okay.
It's
No,
in retrospect to the medical, okay?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to take that,
Okay,
because then somebody will say, well, it
Yeah.
didn't say, so
yeah.
I can give
It
you.
used to be
That's what I
classified, thank you, Joe, just reminding me, it used to be classified as recreational, and the state changed it to adult use.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense.
Is there an age
Yeah, it's right
requirement
It's in-
Yeah.
for the demo?
It's in
Okay.
It's right.
section D. Under definition.
So we all set with the first paragraph,
Section 1, yeah.
section 1?
Section 2, the only thing, other than that standard with the MRSA,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
bold,
Yep.
but, I think that, chapter 409, it should be noted, or that that's the state statute for it, just so that it's the
Mhm.
general person doesn't know what that is.
What, 409?
Yeah.
Oh, the state,
Chapter
okay,
409.
right.
So
State of
that's
Maine.
MRSA?
I don't know. I know it's the state law, because
Then
they
it's got,
said
then it's
that,
got Maine,
they said that last week,
okay.
right?
I'm sorry?
Chapter 409, is that MRSA, or is that,
It's gotta be MRSA.
I know it's not the state, it's the state chapter, but is that's the MRSA chapter, right?
Mike?
Yeah, I believe so.
We can, yeah, we can.
Yeah.
I double checked that, but
Yeah.
I think you're correct. I believe you're correct.
But whatever that chapter 409, it ought to be
Yeah, very good point.
noted what it is. And that's the same on all four.
Okay. Got it.
So for our community, for the drug-free zone, usually say schools, kind of list out like public athletic fields, public parks, playgrounds, recreational facilities. Is that all public? Because I'm just thinking of pools and other fields, and that's not public property, but we,
School.
It means all schools to include, but not exclude.
I just want to make sure we're covering
Yep.
any of the.
Yeah, schools, they're, so Gould is a school, and then in addition to that, it includes.
Public athletic fields.
Yeah.
Is it like alcohol at all, or you can't have a retail facility within so many hundred?
I
Yeah,
was
so within-
surprised there wasn't a
within-
distance in there, but
There is.
it comes
It's-
later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it comes later.
These are just the definitions, and I can ask you,
Okay.
the definitions, these are just state definitions, I'm guessing, right out of, yeah, so there's no creativity here.
21, okay.
I'm just thinking of our unique community that we have here, we just want to make sure we're covering any
Well,
places.
it is. They're expanding the including, they're expanding the definition.
Do we need to have that PH? No, we don't
Yeah, I
Even
think-
the resident?
need that. Yeah, we don't need that.
I think Pat could refresh our memory too on, is this where we, the drug-free zone, is this where you guys developed the map?
We do have the map, but I don't, I just saw that tonight. I did not supply you with the map, did I?
No,
No, it talks about the map further in.
I do have a copy of the map if you want to see it.
It'll be good to pass it around, I think, and
I
then,
mean, you can take copies. I don't have extra copies, I don't know.
I can take it, you want me to make copies?
Oh, there
if,
you have it.
if you could, if it's the up-to-date map, why,
Oh, I won't be able to
I
do it
think
in.
we all.
Wait a minute. I have 1, 2, I have 3 with 1,000 foot. Here.
You just give everybody an idea of what the,
Oh, here, I have
I
enough.
can't copy in color, but I personally made the map, so.
Is there a,
Thanks.
that, like, you guys came up with this, or
They came up with the distance.
the distance piece based on the 1,000?
The state says 500?
State says,
The state says 500, we.
And we went to
we
1,000.
went to 1,000, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did that with, Sarah did it, but we went through it.
It's all Sarah's fault.
No, I just made the map, I didn't specify the distance.
That's, okay.
So it's all computed electronically, you know, we didn't sit there and.
Sarah, do you still have access to these maps?
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna need the 500 one too.
okay.
Thank you.
So purple is
Daycare.
daycare.
What do you mean, what's,
Basically, nothing in downtown.
what's tax par, what does tax parcel mean?
From the
2000?
tax map.
Oh, they're just the
These-
parcels,
these-
oh,
these
okay.
parcels are-
Yeah.
they're right up on-
Okay.
Why is this yellow?
Oh, Yeah,
And then, where's Angevine Park?
I think it's right there.
Should be P.
Yeah. This
Do,
is missing.
it'd be a little more work, but it wouldn't be that much trouble. Would you like me to label Angevine Park? Telstar is
You
there.
gotta put the. I guess
it
one.
might be helpful to anybody, I'm a map-friendly person, so stuff like this doesn't bother me, but anybody that's not.
Once I get it this way, right, for me, right side up. So it's good, I'm gonna hurt with this landscape.
Are we,
Especially down the
Is-
road,
is
when it comes to the
this-
public hearing, it might be nice to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the green stuff?
Yeah, the skate park is one of those.
One
The
of
two,
these.
yeah, the two, that's, one of them is
And
Davis Park and the other one is down by the basketball
Okay,
court.
that's what I was wondering. if
So
that
essentially,
was
the
supposed-
path, the Davis Park, the pathway, the basketball court are all recreation areas.
Well, I think if you just put that as the high school and that's Crescent Park and that's the pathway.
Okay,
And Angevine, or like the big, then people I think will be able to
okay.
orientate
Okay,
themselves.
yeah, I think like we have.
I don't think it's great urgency for us, but maybe down the road for the public. Are we in,
What daycare is that one?
it's Warren,
Yeah,
right?
bright beginnings.
Do you remember which Warren girl that is?
I'm drawing a blank.
Is the daycare at Gold still there?
There's the Mahoosic Montessori preschool still there, I don't know if she'll
Oh, I
be there.
don't even think I knew that. I think that,
It's right on the corner
it-
of Park Street and Church Street.
I didn't know that there was one.
Well, they were also doing one out behind, behind the dining hall.
It would be, I can put it,
I mean, it
Somebody
still
told me-
falls under that.
yeah, but it would be more, if it should have a purple blob that shows that we're aware of it, then it should have a purple circle.
But it wouldn't change anything.
No.
No, it didn't
No, it would just be
change
more, it would just be more accurate.
Yeah,
Right.
purple
Yeah, I don't know if
designation
it's
rather
still
than a
there.
blob. Yeah.
So,
And West Bethel's fully closed.
So again, when Mike and I made this map, we went with the daycare centers that we were familiar with, but that's not to say that we know every daycare center in the town of Bethel.
I don't think the gold one exists, I think that one dissolved, and then I think, and as of right now, Mahoosic Montessori is at the Congregational Church, at the corner of Park Street and Church Street. So that would deserve another purple.
Park and Church,
So the purple one in the middle is the one
the,
at the gym?
yes,
Okay.
Jeff.
And West Bethel is
gone,
fully closed.
yes.
Both of them in West Bethel are closed.
So these are the licensed daycares, then?
That we were aware of, so again, we make no representation that we knew all of them at the time that we made this. So if we're missing something, let us know and we'll get it on the map.
Yeah, we certainly have it included if it's a licensed daycare, we said
Right.
licensed daycare.
Right.
Yeah, I think she falls under the daycare.
So,
Good with page one?
We're closing, yeah.
Is
Are we
everybody?
going through, yes.
Planning board review.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
on page 2, number 4 in section C
Uh-huh.
will be stricken.
Stripping?
Stricken.
What does she mean?
It'll be taken out.
Let's not get stripping involved in marijuana.
That's a different ordinance.
It's a whole
they
other.
don't need to be fenced?
Don't do
No,
that yet.
this is for retail, so that was put in,
Yeah,
that was in the
Don't
right state.
strike it yet, because I caught that and
Yeah,
I
That's-
thought maybe we just want to change security
No, no.
requirements for retail
No.
facilities.
it's all in the other part of it.
Okay,
Number 4 is just an accident.
Okay.
okay, so four
Where
can
it goes.
Four's
totally
go-
come
go
And
on.
that's not even a strike through, that's just a
Yes,
mistake.
yeah, it's gone.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Planning board review. Building permits for the construction of new retail or permission for the change of use, so it's gonna go, they all at this point have to go through change of use, because it couldn't be existing.
Mm.
Okay. Well, where are we at with the I know we just changed this. We want to have all change of use now come to the planning board. You know, we've gone from restaurant to daycare, back to restaurant, and then not made them come back.
That's open to interpretation by the planning board. I mean, typically the staff actually makes that, the way we've tended to do it, whether rightly or wrongly, is if under Bethel Town Code, the toughest standards apply to restaurants. They have the toughest performance standards with respect to number of parking spaces, setbacks, et cetera. So typically, if something's been approved as a restaurant, we'll use the Butcher Burger, which has the best fries ever, as our example. So that was, that went from being a restaurant to being a restaurant. If it, tomorrow, we don't have video stores anymore. So tomorrow it becomes a ski shop, we wouldn't put it through review because the standards for, a ski shop are so much less than a restaurant.
Right.
Where something, now take a site like,
Well, what if it did that, but then it turned around and went back to a restaurant?
that's the gray, it's not specified, but I don't wanna get off track here. So what the method for addressing that now really would be, if Kobe or I had a question like that, would be to go to the board for a determination and have you guys make that decision.
I'm just thinking if it went from marijuana to a video store, back to marijuana, are we gonna look at it again? That was the question, I guess that's just what we're talking about.
Basically, only if they
Well,
change the whole thing. If they were to take,
Right.
if they were to take it and say it was, somebody built it as a marijuana, and then they closed, and turned around and opened it as a video, and then they turned around and closed, and
now they wanna reopen.
now they want to open it as a
Marijuana.
restaurant,
Now it's getting reduced.
that would be, I think that would be a review.
Right.
You want to make sure it's reviewed if it's.
I'm not sure if I want to pitch, but I know it's a big question from the planning board, so I kinda wanna make sure we get that one straight.
Well,
I
here,
think
I
that-
would say that right here, you're covered, because it clearly says that it's going to require a review. So if it's, they go from selling marijuana to selling mittens, and then it goes, and then they become a brewery, and now they go back to marijuana. It says you're gonna review it.
Basically, if you're gonna change the stuff in the building, do interior redesign. Personally, I don't wanna see what happened to the mountain, for example, where things are constantly getting changed, and the next thing you know, you've got a sprinkler head that's buried in a wall that you can't see.
I'm thinking of
Or-
always
or
going
room
back
gets
to
put-
review because of this. Because
Yeah,
circumstances
that's-
change, I think we always need to at least
I-
make sure that because we have setbacks and buffers, meantime, it could become a video store, then a daycare opens up next door to the video store, and then it can't go back to marijuana because now we have a daycare there.
That was
And I don't think it would ever have to come to us, because I think they'll go to you and Toby, and you'll tell them that.
But that brings up a good question. And it's still, it falls on the planning board, but somebody's legally able to put, okay, the entrance to the airport, and they go and build there. And then everything's great, 5 years down the road, things are wonderful, Joe Schmo comes in and 100 feet away wants to put in a daycare.
You can't. I mean, the existing building has to take precedence, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we couldn't, marijuana can't be knocked out because someone,
That's what I would think.
right, yeah, I think it would be just like like a restaurant, or so many feet from a church, liquor license. I'd see it like a liquor license.
We're always gonna have case by case issues here too, and somewhere, some twisty little thing will come up and everybody will go, duh,
Right, yeah.
have the conversation and you decide whether you
Okay.
Why don't you keep moving?
Okay,
That
yeah.
makes sense.
signage, shall meet the requirements of the sign ordinance in the town, they're not used to.
I didn't know what the right wording was, but we need wordage, not just,
Language.
Pictorial.
And language.
yeah.
Content is, I think, the word you're looking for.
Are we in signage?
Yeah,
Yeah, in other words, we don't wanna
vague, yeah.
see a sign that says, got grass, or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, so you want more?
I don't know that you.
Not just pictorial.
But unfortunately, we can't regulate sign content. The laws are pretty clear that, you can regulate size, you can regulate color, you can regulate lighting, you can regulate the height, but you cannot regulate freedom of, you can't.
Well, then
regulate
how
content.
can we
So then we
regulate
can't have-
pictorial?
That's the state, the state.
The state statute.
Under the
State
sign,
says
under the sign, you
no
can't have no
pictures,
pictorial.
They,
But you
It
can
can
use
say
the word.
cannabis, it can
Let-
say
you can
marijuana.
say, got grass,
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Okay.
I like
But,
to think.
just,
of it.
okay.
Someone will show up on how much they charge to mow lawns.
Security, are we ready for the next one?
Remember the store out on Route 2, Peace Off?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
People
Oh,
next,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't.
There was a snowboard shop where
snowboard
the.
shop, they went and got an ambulance and labeled it and stuff. It needs
Off-piste.
off,
Yeah.
Anyway.
out of bounds.
Yeah.
All right, so signage, unfortunately, yeah, you can't regulate the words.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Security's interesting. And that's a state requirement for security, number one. Lockable doors and windows. Well, our doors and windows are lockable. It's just regular windows, like,
Yeah.
nothing.
To include intrusion alarms.
Yeah.
Securities,
Yeah.
I think that covers it.
Interesting. How far is anybody?
Security.
So it's very like, it's in line for the town ordinance, anything that the town ordinance allows.
Under site plan, yeah.
Not the security.
The business I was concerned about was out on Route 2, and they would fall under Greenfield.
Not necessarily.
What, I mean, what we
That,
could
that
do?
old mill that was cutting up rocks.
Oh, right, right.
Some of that's, some of that's the Route 2.
I had asked them to see.
You good on that, Donnie?
Yes, I am. I'm still, something's running around in my head here on the signage thing. I mean, do we, the state there are certain requirements there in the signage that the state kind of overrides us on, don't they? Not really?
No, I think we'll straighten all the sign stuff out.
Well, I think you're thinking about the, like, DOT signs, which are a separate matter.
I was thinking of what Mike mentioned, Mike, what does the state say about marijuana signs?
I'm trying to find the exact wording here. If I recall, it's just that you couldn't have any pictorial,
I'm here to tell you, that will be struck, someone is going to challenge that, and that will be struck down.
Yeah.
You cannot regulate content of signs. I just attended like a 2-hour mind
I mean, the
meld.
only thing that I think that I can see is the pictorial stuff. If the state is saying
Yeah.
no pictures on it, but no, you can't.
I'm surprised that they can, I guess I'm saying, I'm surprised that they think that they can do that.
A suggestion, do you wanna add that in there, that it's Maine law that, along with the town and Maine ordinance,
Sign on and whatever.
And the state
requirements?
Yeah, they say the state of, yeah, I would absolutely say that all signage shall meet the requirements of the sign ordinance of the town and the state of Maine.
But you could reference it, whatever, would it be, if it's the state statute, would it have a number or something to make it?
it's 702 is what they're referring it back to here. I mean, I'll find it.
Okay,
Is it,
Yes,
Okay, I'm happy now.
is it Title 70?
we can, yeah, Mike and I, let's not bog,
It
Okay.
says section 702.
let's not bog down here, but I understand exactly what you guys are trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find it here.
And
Yes.
section 702 of. No pictures.
Yeah, the other thing, is it worth adding to this that, if a retail establishment wants to relocate, then they will go through the planning board? I mean, because it makes us, yeah, right, it says permanent. But is it,
Well, permanent location, meaning
but
you
you,
can't.
they could move your business certainly a year or two
Yeah,
down the
no,
road,
yeah,
right?
it's just for the location itself,
Right.
not
Yeah.
building, it's just for
They
the,
can't be selling
Yeah.
it out of the
Right.
backseat of their car,
Right,
which,
Not on wheels or a sled or a,
yeah,
Yeah.
do we say that it's,
it's not gonna be like a food truck.
right?
We don't want
Doesn't
food
have
trucks
a
for
foundation.
Right.
marijuana.
No, I meant, is it worth mentioning that
Or,
they, you know, they're in this location and then they move a mile out of town? Do we mention
they have to go
No.
through,
Back
ordinance-
through the
they have
site
to
plan?
go through the site plan
Okay.
anyways.
Yeah.
Not worth, okay.
But, would somebody go to the trouble of trying to put it into like setting it up in a Quonset or
Oh,
putting a 20-foot storage container on your property and selling it out of that?
You'd be amazed.
Oh,
what people
gosh, you're
try to
right.
do.
So that odd.
that's a good point.
It can't be, it's gonna be like a brick and mortar, or it can't be transportable. And we say transitory location, but you can't transport it. Now, if somebody's got a building and they wanna pay and move their building, that's different.
Right.
But you can take a 20-foot storage container
Never thought of that.
and you can set it up. You can take a
well, you
portable
can, but
garage.
you're gonna drag it, put it on wheels,
You're gonna throw it, you're
fit with
gonna,
something, and then it becomes movable.
well, yeah, you just back a ramp truck up to it, you slide it up the ramp truck, you drive it to your neighbor's house and
On wheels.
unload it.
Well, you violated the law right there.
But you could put, I'm thinking, are you saying that you could put a container, a Quonset hut on your front yard in open a retail
Yeah.
outlet, or out of
Yeah,
the
the
corner of
store-
your garage?
The storage containers,
Huh.
people are using them as houses now.
Right,
It's actually, you
those are cool.
you get a 20 or a 40 foot, or you can even get a
Yeah.
10 foot.
But that's gonna go through planning board,
Yes,
That's right.
and you're gonna say, I'm gonna park it here. And if you pick it up and move it,
but if we have design standards, you won't be able to do it.
yeah.
I just don't know if it, although, on the other hand, a storage container is a secure thing.
Well, you're right, it has to go through,
Planning board.
Subsection 2.
and we have some design standards, like roof pitches and stuff like that, that a lot of these things wouldn't.
Compatibility, well, we
Compatibility.
don't have that yet, but we do have compatibility.
Oh, that's right, we have copies right here. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, any location that's not excluded by this map, and you can have one.
We don't have zoning, so.
I was gonna say, 'cause we don't have zoning, so it can be.
Right.
in.
I mean, that's kind of why I almost think it needs to be in that brick and mortar.
I'm not sure how to describe that.
I don't know if you can.
I personally think it goes under the planning board rules and
Anyway.
regulations and
It
all that.
does, but I'm trying to think,
I mean, trust me, we went through this also, but we
Yeah.
also came to the conclusion, like, we cannot get it that specific on every single subject.
right,
Right.
Because there is rules in
Of the,
effect now that everyone has to go by. So in this instance, it would be the planning board's decision, not this ordinance
well, like with a
decision.
childcare, it's fairly easy, that easy, but to open a childcare, you know, in the basement of your house, like they did on East Bethel Road.
It's insanely difficult, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't that
Actually,
easy.
look at what.
But
Selena
retail, you know, you
used to
see
go through.
yarn shops or whatever, they'll have small retail. I mean, how would that, without our zoning, how could we ever, I don't know, maybe we
Well,
don't.
yeah.
You don't have to, and actually daycare is different, but you do not have to, the way I understand it, in the state, especially with no zoning, you don't have to go through any special stuff to open a small business in your
That
house.
is correct, and
Right.
I'm here to tell you, there's an attorney, some attorney in town is going to get rich rewriting homeowners bylaws for private subdivisions, because when almost every subdivision bylaw that you read says, you know, you can't have a business, you know, that
Right.
isn't, you know, unless that, it has to be contained in the home or whatever. No one ever anticipated that there would be.
Right, but it could never be, you know, certain industries, they have to be signed, right? Like, I think subdivision bylaws are referring to, you know, you're telecommuting, or, you know, you have a home office.
But you don't have to have.
But you don't need signage,
Just-
but you're gonna have to have signage for,
Not
Don't
let
have to have signage.
So that
subdivisions worry
could-
about it, but
that could take care of a lot of it.
But you don't have to have, like, that same thing, subdivision, just you have to go in,
Mhm.
do the planning board and stuff, but you don't have to have an association or anything like that.
anyway,
Just real quick, answer on the sign deal.
yes.
There was a couple of revisions to this, and this is what, looks like they struck the pictorial part.
I was gonna say that
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, that makes sense that
They
they
did.
would,
they can't,
but
okay.
What does it say now?
So,
The main thing in here is just, it can't be the same as the setbacks on the schools and stuff. They're saying it can't be within that 1,000-foot corridor from a school or a daycare or.
So,
We can't appeal to people.
because
under
this
21.
seems to be changing, shall we just say that all signage shall meet the requirements of the sign ordinance of the town of Bethel and Maine State statute?
Yes,
yes,
yes.
that's good, yes.
yes.
And then the
Since
second,
that seems to be fluid at this point in time. But I was gonna say pictorial habitat, you can't regulate, I mean,
Okay, on the permits?
I had one other thing on the permanent location, or are we done on that?
no,
We
if
got
you're not
it in
used to,
Well, no, and an additional piece, but are we done on the building part? I mean, so it basically
Bless
is
you.
a default, no matter,
I don't know what to say. I mean, that's,
I think we start describing something and the planning board's not gonna be very happy.
Right.
um,
Or can we have it say this, no,
I mean, we've already said that
no
it has,
movable.
whatever it is, it has to go to the planning board, whether it's a Quonset hut, whether it's a,
right.
whatever, it's gotta go to the planning
Right.
board.
right. But again, the planning board is just gonna align to an ordinance. I mean, we're not gonna decide it's a good or a bad idea.
No.
So,
But that's the nature of this community, no one wanted to,
Right.
so that's, not unfortunate, but that's.
What's your,
I would say we go past this
But,
and think about it. It,
no, well,
Yeah.
so remember that if it, so it's every, whether it's a Quonset hut or it's a storage container or it's a brand new brick building, it's going to be reviewed by the planning board. They can
Mhm.
require buffering, they can require screening, I mean,
Mhm.
just like they can any other
right,
activity,
right.
because the planning board can do that.
And it's gonna be a learning process.
Yeah.
And we could end up changing the ordinance next year, you know, and
But I mean, and one of the standards is it compatible with the surroundings? So if, you know, we have a row of light clapboard farmhouses and somebody would like to put a bright orange, you know, boxcar, you know, I think we could argue that that is probably not compatible with the existing neighborhood and screen it or buffer it or make them paint it green or whatever the planning board decided to do.
So the other piece is, and maybe it becomes an E, would be ventilation.
not for retail,
Hmm?
not for retail.
It's just retail, it's not a facility processing.
is retail
Okay.
ever ventilated?
No.
I mean, would retail ever, I mean, retail would have an aroma, but not,
Smell of freshly baked goods,
okay.
Sorry.
Not much with the bakery part of it, okay?
So there'd be
It's a building.
no need for that in that section.
Chocolate brownies.
No, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
It does.
And maybe this is further in. But I
Yes.
just brought up a question. So, what kind of licensing do you need if it's like, if there's baked goods on site? Do you see them baking the products and selling them there? Because then that's a whole nother,
That's a separate license.
this is a
Yeah.
separate license. Okay.
Basically, the retail store, unless you get the retail store has to buy the marijuana from a grower, unless they have a grower's license. And they have to buy the baked goods from,
Bakery.
under the manufacturing.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Or they could have a manufacturing license too,
Right.
but that's under
That
one of
would
the
fall
other
under like the
ordinances.
cultivation or,
That's on just a different section?
okay.
Okay.
It's under the manufacturing.
Mhm. Well, not baking specifically,
Right.
but
I don't follow, I haven't
Alright.
followed any of this.
I thought they were starting to change those rules about something about the food and the, maybe separate.
Yeah, they probably don't wanna have Hannaford selling it. Or walking in on a Friday night and buying an IPA. The big apple now.
Alright, so,
Okay, so do you want to go into permits?
Yeah.
I have a question. When I went to the presentation given by AvCog at their planning day, I got the distinct impression that getting a license for this from, the town of Bethel is not the only entity issuing a license. These all are getting licensed by the state of Maine first, correct? So this, okay, because it sounded like the process was fairly onerous. You know, they are not just gonna be handing these things out
right.
freely, all right. So this is, the permit application from the from the Bethel town clerk is concurrent with their state?
Well, you have to get the, if the state issues you a license, they issue you a conditional license. When you
Okay.
go to the town and the town approves your license, then they give you the real thing.
Okay, so they need to have a
Condition.
conditional license from the state prior to coming to the town, maybe?
Let me look, cause I,
I think I
That was
remember,
kind of
I
a-
think I remember that.
at first it was kind of a gray area, whether you could apply to the town first and then to the state. I think you gotta apply to the
Again, you
state
can
first.
use
Yeah,
a
if you guys don't know
wonderful
that.
catch-all
That's what I
statement.
remember as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's, you gotta.
Okay, and can I just clarify, we identified it as permit application because of the fact that you will have a license from the state. So we said, okay, you're getting a permit from the town. I don't know if that
Oh,
makes sense or
okay.
not.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we didn't want to keep on saying license because you're gonna have a license from the state.
Yeah, you gotta have your license from the state first.
So
Yep.
Should it say
we
that
should
some-
have that in
I
there
think, well,
someplace.
whatever,
It
and
may
since
be
it
that I don't
sounds
remember.
gray, we can add a catch-all, you know, any state licenses that are required, so that again, if it's, because it seems fairly fluid, we don't wanna keep changing, you know, we don't want to change this every 6 months to, so, you know, five, under 4A, you know, add 5, any applicable state licenses.
And when doing these, we were thinking also that people applying for this would know that.
But we don't know that, and I don't know that the town clerk would know to ask for it, so I don't think it hurts to have it enumerated as to
No,
what your
not at all.
expectations are. Would you agree?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna do that on like the first paragraph there. You're gonna submit an application to the town clerk on approved forms, and provide a state license.
I was
Make that
gonna
number one.
make that number 1 for
Yeah.
Or you're gonna do it under, okay.
Under A, we'll make that 1, and then 1 becomes 5, you know, and then I'll renumber down. You guys will get copies of the straights throughs of all of this.
Okay.
And everyone would have to have a different license as far as if you're retail or.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you were 3, you would need 3 separate licenses.
Ask Mike.
And 3 separate permits,
3 what?
separate permits.
What are the,
Also.
how does that compare to marijuana?
How does it compare to marijuana?
Yeah, looking at, Mary's looking at a hemp ordinance, right? Is that a totally different thing?
You really can't now, hemp's federally legal now. You can grow it anywhere in the United States you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but hemp is only used in manufacturing, right?
Well, they use it for the CBD in it,
Oh,
but
okay.
there's a big battle on that one right now. The state just shut down all
Okay.
anything it's got CBD with food in it.
Right, I just heard that.
And now the feds just come out, they kept control of it under the Farm Bill, and it actually is federally illegal
Okay.
at the end of the day, but there's battles going on
So,
that.
yeah, we can.
That's confusing.
Yeah,
We're a little
it is.
confused, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense, and so add that,
Yes,
make that
no,
A1.
absolutely. Yeah, if I were the town clerk and I were, you know, but, I mean, the same way Kristen compiles the materials for the liquor licenses and so forth, if this person is supposed to have this temporary license from the state, I would wanna see that, absolutely.
The license issued by the state, is that good for only 1 year?
Yes.
And so our stuff is only good for 1 year.
Yeah, just like liquor licenses.
Right.
This
so
is
is
actually
that-
extreme, it sounds to
it's
me like
pretty
this
much-
process is pretty,
I thought I remember
identical
reading
to
that it was only good.
victualers licenses or liquor licenses or.
I thought I remember seeing that it was only good for a year.
I don't think so.
I thought
If it's not liquor,
oh yeah, right here.
it kinda wouldn't be fair.
In section B, number 2, it has the background check.
That, I know, again, I certainly know that before they even issue that, the state issues that temporary license, they're doing all of those. That's, they've done that background check and that criminal history check before they issue you your temporary license.
Well, where my question was the applicant shall provide the following information
This
for
is
all
interesting,
persons
right.
having a 10% financial interest, 10% financial, a 10% financial interest or more. So,
Is this above and beyond what the state's requiring? No, okay,
Yeah, the state does require that.
that's what I thought,
is
okay.
it,
So why does that need to be, I guess I wonder why we need to have B.
well, to make sure that it's being done, here's my question. If I'm the applicant
I believe you
Your
do.
partners.
To get a
and I have
to get a main license, I think you do.
Sherry and Mary as partners, and she's at 10%, but she's only at 9%, she doesn't need it. But 6 months down the road, she turns around and becomes 11%
Right.
partner.
Yeah, a year, you know, so
Where
for
does
three,
that-
for 3 months, she'd be able to operate, and then when the year was up, it would all,
When
the
you,
clock
well, yeah, when
starts.
you renew,
The
you
clock
have to.
starts anew.
Yeah.
All of these
I
things.
believe it actually says in here that if there's any change in ownership, that
Like you
equals
know.
at 10%, you have to report it to the state.
Why did they say 10%?
I guess
I guess, my question, I guess where I'm wondering this is,
Signed up in there.
shouldn't it be anybody?
Well, I guess the problem I'm having with this is why we need B at all if we've now added a new section 4 permit application for operation A1, that the applicant shall have all applicable state licenses. The state's already required that for the issuance of that temporary license. So I don't understand why we would ask for it again.
Okay, if you look in B, number 2, acknowledgement and consent that the state of Maine has conducted a background
Yeah.
investigation, including a criminal history check.
But I know that they will have done that in order to issue the license that we're asking for in A.
Right,
So why are we asking, I guess this seems like a lot of paper here, people.
Right.
Why are we asking for it again? I mean, that's a question.
CYA.
That I understand, I agree
I
with
mean, that's
that.
a valid, if that's how you feel about it, but I'm just saying, wow.
It's redundant, but the work's been done,
But
right?
absolutely, that
Right.
work has been done. That, I mean,
So
part
it
of
I
shouldn't
the-
mean,
be-
we're
But they're
not,
just showing in step 2, all they have to do is show that they.
right,
Okay, fine.
yeah,
But this
we're
becomes
not-
kind of a checklist, doesn't it, in the ultimate end?
I think that's what I see it as.
Okay, then leave it in, I'm just saying, I was,
The
again,
town's
hey,
not gonna
trying to
go,
understand here what's,
We kinda did a CYA thing.
okay,
the
okay.
town's not gonna go do it in the
No.
background check. I'm just wondering, I guess, on the state level of it, and Mike, you may have an answer on this, but if we have
What do you mean that it's clear?
12 people, everybody's under 10%. So you could open, you could,
In theory, yeah.
you could in theory go
Very
in,
good.
Right.
and I don't, and
They'd be fighting
I would-
with each other.
Here's the deal, I'm looking at, I understand what you're saying, and I don't see anything on that, but let's say she wanted to get more and somebody got less,
yeah,
that's under the transfer of ownership, and the licensee has to apply for the department
okay.
and for approval for transfer of ownership interest. So,
I don't also wanna see, if you take
yeah, you have
one
to,
legitimate
you have to,
person
you
and
have to apply for the transfer.
11,
I'm sure there are bars that operate that way too. I mean,
yeah, that's
you know.
true.
But the
seriously,
state's
I-
asking for only 10%, right?
Right.
Well, and that's, my question is more trying to understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay, so,
that's a good
so
question.
we don't need to worry about anything beyond that and that.
No.
But I think, like Donnie said, I think it's good, isn't it?
But if she was to take 2% more,
It's a
you gotta apply for the state and they have to approve it, so.
How long does your license with the state last? A
What's
year?
that?
The license with the state's a year, okay. So
So
yeah,
that's
when you
just
go
the
to renew,
permit
you run.
application. All right,
Right.
now the permit requirement.
Permit
Okay,
requirement,
this is the good, this, because the other stuff, you should have some confidence that the state is already eyeballing pretty carefully. Okay, so here's where we talk about this, the permit being contingent on the state license, good. So we'll have the same thing under the proceeding.
so, any daycare, nowadays, any daycare has to be licensed by the state, right?
Supposed to be.
Yeah. Cause
I have the concern, the only concern I have about the map is that the map is this moment in time. Um,
I think it needs to, it needs to be referenced as,
I'm
map and a picture of the
reluctant to
state first
have,
point in
yeah,
time.
hey,
What number?
I, under C, I actually would.
Oh, as indicated by the map is what's.
So wouldn't that simplify that as saying permits will only be issued for the stuff that complies with the 1,000-foot setback? Basically, all, the setback from all drug-free zones?
I'm
Because
just
the
concerned,
town does not have drug-free zones
Right.
posted.
what I would recommend that we do, if I may be so bold, I'm very concerned that, this, again, this map is a moment in time, and as, so tomorrow, 2 new daycare centers open, and they're not
Right.
indicated on the map, and somebody could make a very
Right.
strong case that that was a loophole. Go ahead.
Setbacks from all current private and public schools?
I think what I would like to,
Can we add recreational?
I was just gonna say, what I
Well,
would
that's-
like to see is from all private and public schools, the state licensed daycare centers, because that's fluid, that list could change at any moment in time. And then, I would add recreation areas.
Well, that's why I said from all drug-free zones, because
We don't
drug,
have, but.
we do on the first page in B, and state law,
Oh, I see.
drug-free zones are schools, daycare, recreation.
But they're supposed to be posted, and they're not posted in the town of Bethel.
They're supposed to be posted?
Yeah, if they're not posted, they're not drug-free.
I did a
They're
lot of
smoke
driving
free.
around.
That's why we
So
worked
found
the way we
one.
did.
Well, I know
It's
there's,
the new
I know
car
there's,
vape
there's
stuff.
a lot of places that aren't posted, but
Right,
just,
so,
it's the
What-
same with towing a
what I-
vehicle. Just because it's not posted, the same issue we have in fire department.
I think this is
Even
really,
though it's not posted, no parking,
I think what I would like to do then is take the exact same language, the public athletic fields, parks, playgrounds, blah, 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 put all of that in, that C, permits will only be issued, and have that exact same language there so it's consistent.
Yeah.
And delete the reference to the map. I think the reference to the map is super handy for purposes of illustration for a public hearing or to inform the
Yeah.
public as to what that looks like. But this is static and the ordinance is not. That, I mean, that's just a concern unless we're gonna update this.
our purpose of the map basically was to make the
Give an
public
idea.
aware of what they were facing for the future.
Which is excellent, and I think it's a fantastic idea. I'm
And I
just
mean, if you
concerned
want
about
to
your
eliminate that,
reference.
that's okay, but I think we should have that, like you say, when we have a public
Definitely.
hearing or something like that.
Right.
On
But
this,
if you
I
want
think,
to-
on this, we can all
Yeah,
agree,
yeah.
my concern is that this map gets printed, this gets passed, now exactly the concern that Sherry had, now 3 more daycare centers open up, you
Okay,
know,
so
and
can,
the map is not updated, and some person comes in and says, well, gee,
They hold years
I'm
to
not,
us.
Or the town
can
acquires
you not
land
add that
for
as
recreational.
indicated by the,
Right.
by a current map or an updated map or something like that?
I mean, that's making the assumption this map is going to be updated, and I would be reluctant to rely on that, I think I would rather.
Okay.
So, can we go back onto this, onto the drug-free zone?
What's
side?
that?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
This, I could be totally wrong, but I don't
bring this up.
believe it has to be posted,
I don't know.
Right.
because
This could be,
on top of the fact that
It has, it's, I'm reading it right here.
school does not
I'm
post
sure it
it.
does.
It must be an area
That's what I was
frequented by
thinking of,
minors
during, all of a
and
sudden it hit me.
conspicuously
4,000
marked using the
acres.
wording provided by the Commissioner of Public Safety.
You have your smoking
It has
signs
to be
in the
marked.
school, but you do not say, it does not say drug-free.
Crescent Park doesn't either.
Considered the same
Smoking
thing
is-
though.
Too broad a
Here's what I think to
statement.
the opponents to this, well, if I was opposed to this, I would be looking at the recreational area buffers. What, I just realized, what about all of the pathway? What about the Bingham Forest? What about, I mean, all,
They're part of
we are loaded with
Full property.
recreation. We could get, we have to be careful with defining that. Because that would be, I said, if I was gonna go and fight this, that's what I would jump to that conclusion and say, well, that'll, you know.
They can only designate athletic fields, parks, playgrounds, or recreational facilities.
What's a facility? Like a
Oh, yeah.
building?
Like a basketball
Like we know,
court or.
we know,
Basketball
yeah, we know the
court.
basketball court, we know the
Skateboard park.
the skateboard
Skateboard
park.
park.
But what would you call the path, the parkway? The paved,
The pathway.
I think
That's not
Unfortunately,
really
it all
that
falls
has
within.
drug-free on the each end, so I'm thinking it goes the whole way.
but then there's a 1,000-foot buffer too, that from all, the entire trail? What about the Bingham Forest?
Technically.
And Valentine Park and-
Oh,
I went around one and looked at like 18 places to see if they posted it.
They're not.
Yeah.
But I don't,
It should, but
I
they
don't, I
don't.
don't know if they, I wonder
What do you think?
if it says someplace on the state level
But I
that
didn't
this
do
stuff
that.
has to be posted.
It has to. that's right
Kinda
there.
does.
There's
I'm
actually
looking
how you
for
have
it.
to post it right there.
So, I mean, again, your point is well taken, because Mary's pointing out that the pathway extends further. I didn't
So that
buffer
means
the
we
pathway.
need to get
I buffered the Davis Park, the
Those
skate
signs.
park,
That's
and the basketball
All
court,
over
Right.
not do the pathway.
Right.
It's where you
But
want
what
to
about
drive free.
the
like a
Bingham
safe
Forest is the
zone.
biggest thing that's ever gonna happen.
Wouldn't
right?
it
It's like-
be easier?
that's
not approved.
Hey, I got a simple solution.
most recent thing they have.
I got a really simple solution.
The town
We just
puts up posts.
make up 5 of these signs. We put one over there, one there, one there.
I still think you wanna,
and one
the,
over there.
I'm not worried about the
I would
signs, I'm worried
see-
about.
Well, it kind of,
If you're going to say recreational area, you're going to have to put a name on it, because somebody is going to argue that I walked the riverbank over it, it's my
Well, what I
recreation.
was going to propose we do, so we're gonna use, what I would do personally is copy the language from drug-free zones on page 1, copy that, paste it into section C, and then list Angevine Park, Davis Park, the skate park. Those are less likely to change over to, daycare centers, those could, you could add those, those can come, those can go, that's a fairly fluid thing. If you believe that the snowmobile bridge should be included, whatever you think it should include, I just suggest you list it out so there's no
Yes, you've got to,
confusion over what you are
Yeah, I can read it states this law allows, this is for the drug-free safe zones. This law allows a municipality to designate athletic fields, parks, playgrounds, or recreational facilities as a safe or drug-free zone.
Can you say,
Similar
A
to
facility.
schools.
can you book that, Mark, for me, and we'll go over that language, and then I suggest what we do for, again,
Right.
to avoid confusion of, as Don says, yeah, well, I want to, let's list the recreational areas that we are currently considering the town of Bethel. If you believe, by the way, that that should include the entire parkway, go ahead and let, we
The
can,
bike path, the maintained bike path, Davis Park path.
Yeah, but,
That's,
hold on a second. Schools, by state law, if I remember stuff correctly, and I could be way off, but schools and school premises are automatically
Drug-free.
drug-free zone.
And then the municipality can add to
Posting.
that.
Right, no
Yeah.
posting anything. You
They are.
cannot, by law, within 1,000 feet,
Right.
you can't,
right, but so,
of all kinds of things. And in here, it even says, safe zones are treated similar to schools.
Yep.
Drugs dealing within 1,000 feet are
Yep.
subject to
yeah, so
enhanced penalty.
so as I say, so let's just take,
But it does say in the law, it has to, anything you add other than the schools, the parks, the playgrounds, you have to have it posted.
so where we
Or
don't have,
What's a facility?
playgrounds
Question.
being different than
And then a school
Schools
playground.
playground.
so Davis Park, the playground at Davis Park, so as I
Right.
said, I think the way to do that here, we're not gonna be building a whole lot of
We
those
spent a whole meeting on
anytime
the word
soon, because
neighborhood.
I think
About
we
a, no, a butter.
list here,
Yeah.
Davis
And,
Park, the
Little
skateboard
broker,
park,
and I
the
had that on.
basketball court, the snowmobile bridge,
Someone said,
the
I have a
Andrew
squirrel in
Park.
my backyard,
How about
and he
those
is
parks?
excavated.
like the couple, is that considered?
Yep.
It's up to you, I mean, that's what the ordinance review.
I think this
shows.
is gonna, I think the word facility is gonna be like, remember we spent a whole night on the word of butter, and we spent a whole nother night on the chicken
Yeah.
issue on the word
So for you to
excavation?
mark the
I
whole
think
trail
facility
system,
could
you'd
be
have to have a
that.
sign.
Well, as I say, I
100
think your
feet.
answer to that is to
Anybody
list
can walk
out
into the middle of it.
what you are calling them, because otherwise, as you say, somebody can walk into the planning board with an application or to the board of selectmen and say, it's here, and you think that the boat ramp is a facility, but you think that it is, it would be a heck of a lot, it would save everybody a lot of aggravation if you had it spelled out. So, I mean, that's a great task for the ordinance review committee, is, I mean, do you consider a boat launch to be a recreational facility? If so, here's your opportunity to define that,
Is facility, I think the key part of that is the definition of facility. Is a facility an area or is a facility?
Facility sounds like a building. A facility sounds like a building.
See, and to me, I absolutely don't think that. I think it sounds like a basketball court, I think it sounds like a skate park, I think it sounds like the Davis Park playground.
Yeah, what was that meeting that we spent like a whole night discussing the word excavation? I think that had to do with the Bingham Trails. Another time, we
Yeah.
spent a whole night on the word of butter. And it was, and I think, I don't want facilities to become that word for this.
Well, as I say, so for example, under in site plan, we talk about historic buildings and the way that because, so many people could argue that their building in Bethel is historic so the way that we answer that is we reference the list that Randy Bennett prepared that's in the comprehensive plan. And so that makes sense. That's the list. So as I said, you can do the same thing here. You create your own list of what you believe constitutes. I mean, you can change this. These aren't gonna come, parks are not gonna come and go that quickly. Licensed daycare centers may, but churches don't tend to move around a whole, well, actually, that's not true, they do. But boy, if I were you guys, I would enumerate what you are considering recreational areas.
But you think we'll be okay with the state? What was the state's intention on that?
Yeah, I do think you'd be okay with that. I think that's exactly the state's intention.
And if
But
you're
I-
on the planning board, you're going to say, okay, you're in here for this change of use or whatever. Sarah, we'd like to know how many current daycare centers there are as of February.
And you as a selectman are too, because
Yeah.
you have to issue the permit, so,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
So should we make the list, does everybody agree that we should do a list now? Is that what we want?
Or do you want to, or if that, absolutely, if you take your map, yeah, I mean, these are gonna go away anyway, because we're gonna update them with more daycare centers. So you take your map, why don't you take your maps home and think about it? You know, we don't have to do it, I think it'd be faster if you go home, sleep on it, and decide what you think it ought to include. I mean, I don't know how many children are hanging out at boat launches, you know.
This map is not, this is information
Correct.
at a
To help us.
point in time. If you're on the planning board and someone is gonna come in,
Yeah,
you're absolutely gonna say, are there any more of these, or any more of these, are there any more of these, and I want the information, that's what I would ask.
so yeah, as I say, I
It's
believe that
current
C
information.
should be, that as indicated by the map should be stricken. You should list the, include the word recreation areas and then list what you are considering a recreation area.
So
As
it's a
indicated by the current list of,
Yeah.
So,
So there's a
facility,
There's a facility, there's a difference, because we reference it as recreational facility or as
well,
a recreational area.
it's there, because facility is something designed, built, installed, etc. to serve a specific
That
function,
include areas.
affording
So this should be
convenience or
recreational facility
service,
and
Like a
area.
basketball court.
You can't
transportation
change the
facility,
state's
educational.
So here,
But here we can.
say recreational facilities and areas.
That's
Yeah.
installed
place.
for a purpose.
Amenity or piece of equipment provided for particular purpose.
It has to be
Like
equipment,
Areas.
do you think?
And then I would list.
so
it
that
just to
definition,
really-
again, just leads us right to a list.
Yeah.
Okay.
So recreational facility would be like a skating rink or
A
a gym
basketball.
or something like
Yeah.
that.
Right, but an area could be the pathway.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so
Or
it would have to
Angeline
be,
Park
it would have to be
an
an area.
right?
Yeah.
So I suggest we, under C, we include recreational facilities and areas and then have a list
Okay.
and drop the reference to the map. As you say,
Yep,
this would
another-
be very helpful for
Would
the
you,
public.
would you guys like to work on that? Would you like that homework?
Yes.
We can work on that this week? Okay.
Yes.
What?
We can work on our list of,
And that's,
Areas.
that's gonna end up being critical.
What do we,
We're making a list.
Maybe
a list of the areas that we
recreational
think are
facilities and areas that
facilities,
should be,
Facilities and
like
areas.
Angela.
that should have that should have a 1,000-foot buffer around it.
And believe you me, attending the meetings, that went around the table, what about this, and what about that, and that
10,000
place over there, and this,
well, and that's
So we
the
tried,
thing,
we
we,
tried to encompass it into the map so that it would be easier, but
you start getting into that, you get
That's critical.
the Mount Will
Parking,
parking area.
I'd be honest with you,
got-
I gave that serious consideration when I was creating the map.
We,
And then I guess my conclusion was that, and again, when you're making a map, you're making judgments just by nature of making a map.
Right, right.
You know, again, are children hanging around the parking lot at Mount Will? Probably not.
No, but how far do you wanna go? We are
That's right, you guys.
exact, Bethel is recreation
Yeah.
area. We are
Right.
recreation.
And, well, as I say,
Right, so that's why.
It's homework.
That whole thing is,
Right, so we'll do
So
that.
we'll give this,
we
let's
could go so deep.
we discussed the parkway and the paths and where it has to be, we have to have it posted.
it would have been so much easier if the town had posted.
It's easy to go post the basketball court,
then why don't we do that?
you're gonna have to if you wanna enforce a law.
That's the selectman.
Well,
we can do that.
we can put all we want.
Right,
It doesn't mean a damn thing in this town.
yeah.
How many tractor trailers park on Route 2 when you can't,
But
You
it
know,
makes it
it's-
easier for the
there's no
people that approve
enforcement.
this stuff, right?
How many nips?
We don't enforce anything.
Jerry's been about the nips.
I think that, yes, I think that the stuff ought to be, it stinks we have to
Okay,
post
this is
everything.
we will get to a public hearing, if we make a great big fat list, we will
Yeah.
hear at a public hearing
Yeah, I
when we
agree.
have it, whether it's too fat or,
Yeah.
why in the hell do you have the pathway on it?
What
Right.
about, I hike here
I
and
think
I hike there with my kid, I
The
mean.
pathway, I think they'll be pretty,
Well, here's the deal, you can't smoke it out in public anyways,
Mm.
that's the law.
Oh, you know, sometimes we need.
No, I understand, I'm just saying,
What about those other things?
that is, it's supposed to be in your personal residence. and-
Right, you know, and
So-
how far, they're doing it now anyways.
Right.
So how,
They've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
Where there's big
The one-
I mean, we can turn this thing into
Yeah.
this and that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't wanna do that,
And
and I know nobody else wants to.
I'll
And
start
we're gonna have
getting
a
into
public
the detail of what
pathway
is
going right by.
recreational area, and I missed the whole point of what we're doing too. Joel, you were trying to say something.
Well, because I had to leave, because I didn't know you were doing this tonight, so I had to go home and get my stuff. But, so in this, when you went through the definitions, I think, and that resident is in there, and then, because this is, we made these quite a while ago. So in all of this application stuff, is it clear that we mean residents of Oxford County?
Yeah, you say that on the front page.
It-
On the
But
front
so-
page, we hadn't gotten to
That's
that
the
yet.
definition.
Okay, so that's the,
That's the definition
that's
of
the
resident.
definition, but then over here, it doesn't, I don't see,
It'd be redundant, because that's, the definition says that it has to be an Oxford County resident.
Where
it
are
just
you
says that's
talking,
the
Joe?
definition of resident, but then we don't use the
I
word
don't know.
resident over here, we say the residency, which means,
When you say where,
I just wanna know for you people, is it clear? Like, in the definitions, it says resident, meaning
Right.
Yeah,
from Oxford County, so
And then
is
the
that
next-
clear to you that in any applications, they need to be a resident of Oxford County?
yeah, it says right there that they.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, all right, I wanted
And
to see.
and then,
I
then down in F, that's a different thing, but I think we're kinda still stuck on the,
That's the key to the whole thing right there, that's why,
Oh, yeah, applicant must be a resident.
permits shall be kept current at all times, applicants must be 21 years of age, applicants must be a resident.
Of Oxford County.
So we need to say
Okay,
either
there it
of
is, there it is.
Oxford or
See, I just-
Bethel.
I didn't know what I'd missed.
Well, we're gonna say
And seeing
Oxford
Sal
County,
was
right?
saying Oxford on the front page,
Right,
we need to say Oxford here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that that was, because I was trying to catch up since I came back.
We added that,
Shall be
Joel, thanks.
posted.
So we're talking about a resident of Bethel and a resident of Oxford County.
where does it say resident of Bethel?
It doesn't, it just
It
says
doesn't, it just
applicant
says
must be a
Oxford County.
It
resident.
has to be a resident of Oxford.
Of Oxford
Can't
County.
be a specific resident.
You change that to Bethel if you want.
But that seems, I mean, really, I mean, where we have so many
That's
people like
limiting
Newry
it.
and Greenwood and.
Really
Yeah.
I mean, really,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you'd probably leave it Oxford County.
I would leave it at Oxford County
Yeah,
if you
it's
even
gotta
wanna.
be, we'll just leave it as county. So,
Yeah,
an individual's license is not transferable. And then in H, we say that town permits are transferable, as long as the location doesn't change. I think
oh, I
they
think
should,
what you're,
I don't think they should be transferable.
I don't think you're, I think they're,
But we're down on H now. A new
yeah,
owner,
I think
a
you're.
new owner needs new permit.
Huh.
A new, a majority partner
I think you might
needs
be,
to have.
Jim, that's a great point.
to
We
have a
went through
new-
this too.
I think you wanna take that out.
We
Yeah,
went through this too, transfer rules, like it's.
I don't think
because
mean,
I could be an ass, I could be, I could
Just the
be,
site plan.
It said, but it says as long as all town and state requirements are met.
I think, I'll find it here. I think you can transfer your license, but you have to get it approved by the state. You was gonna say something about out of state from Mass or something.
no, I mean, if somebody wanted, if I, no, I was,
Every time that you have to force it
If I
in,
was-
through the process, we switch that up.
Yeah.
if I was a master, this is not gonna sound right, but if I was a massive drug dealer and Mary had a permit, had her store, or got all their stuff, and a week later turns around and can just hand it over to me,
But that wouldn't meet all
You,
state.
you have to meet all the requirements
For the state.
of the state.
I just don't
and the
think,
town.
I just don't think
I don't think you want that
I-
in necessarily, but wouldn't, doesn't the state already say that? I don't know that you wanna put that in here.
I just don't think the permit,
Rip it out.
I don't
Yeah.
think the permit should be transferable.
No.
I think that every applicant ought to be,
Well, I think,
just like a
yeah,
daycare.
I agree, and because
Yeah.
that forces them to
Or-
go to the state.
Right, it
Yep.
forces the whole process.
Is
a
a
liquor
liquor
force-
license transferable?
No,
I don't think so.
no, it's not, because we found that out at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take it out.
Nobody knew about that.
No.
The hard way.
No, they were really good about it.
Mhm.
They said, oh, this doesn't work, you have to get, oh,
Right, yeah,
okay.
so I think you should align as much to liquor licenses as
Yeah.
possible.
Or anything else, so town permits are not transferable, period.
Period, and I actually would take out I, because you've already said that, under,
So why don't we just take out H and get rid of town permits are not transferable, period?
So we're deleting H and I.
No, I
Just
just,
with-
just,
okay, we're taking out H and we're changing I to town permits are not transferable, period.
period.
You couldn't be more firm than that.
Like-
Yeah, and that, so then you get, that calls for a new application.
Yeah. And I said, which
Yeah,
means any new
absolutely,
owner,
any new owner, I
new
do that.
partner, new majority partner.
Yep,
Fine.
Yeah.
So, upon receipt of an application for a new permit or renewal, that goes to the selectmen, it only goes to planning board.
if the change, location, the planning board only reviews location, it doesn't
Right.
review uses.
So they have to go through the selectmen first, and then we will see them in the planning board.
Let's make, I'll reread it again and make sure that, actually, that, you know what?
Say what?
Under, let's make sure that that's in there somewhere, because I'm not so, like, you know, again, chicken and egg, I mean, the way we do it currently on the planning board is that if the project requires a DOT entrance permit, you come to the planning board with your DOT entrance permit.
Right.
If the project requires a state fire marshal
Yeah.
construction permit, you don't come to the planning board till you have your construction
Right.
permit. It would seem mighty foolish for the planning board to start reviewing AURMS
Right.
locations if the person does not have their permit.
Right,
in hand.
exactly.
So let's make sure that
Right,
we
yeah.
enumerate that somewhere, because otherwise the planning board will waste hours
So-
on.
And we won't do, and we,
And nothing, yeah, so
Step
let's just
one,
make
the
sure that step
person,
one is,
step one, the person goes to, gets their state,
they get their state and then their select board
Info.
permit, and then they go to the planning
and
board.
then two would be the selectmen.
We really need to amend the site plan.
And
That
three
should-
would be,
We list that under requirements for site plan, we spell out that you have to have your DOT entrance permit, that you have to have your state fire marshal permit. We really ought to amend the site plan ordinance that, yeah, you don't talk to the planning board till you have this stuff in hand, because
right,
there's no point.
right,
Hypothetical, you know, the planning board doesn't review hypotheticals.
yeah.
So did we change F? Or do we need to, an applicant must be a resident? must
Of
be a-
Oxford County,
yes,
I
that's gonna be Oxford County. We get rid of H,
yep.
and I is just town permits are not transferable, period. That makes sense?
H is entirely out and I is just
Yep.
Abbreviated.
abbreviated.
Just
Okay.
town permits are not
It's Jay,
transferable.
where you were just
Question.
that we list out that they have to do step one.
No, we need to put that in the site plan, we need to put that in requirements for site plan.
Huh?
Yeah, it,
Are you, you're talking totally.
site plan
different.
will say that
Site plan
before
has
they
to
can
say-
go to planning board, they need to get this permit from the selectmen.
Yeah.
It says,
That's what
So
it'll be.
that would be, that would
if
be
the
under
location
permanent.
of the.
I mean, Sarah's never gonna let them come to planning
It's
board.
not transferable. So
But
yes,
it's
you.
really helpful, it's really helpful to have it in black and white, so that if somebody gets, if people get really, you know, agitated, it's really helpful to be able to say, look, and I'm just doing what,
So that go under permanent application?
that goes in site plan, it goes
Oh.
it goes in site plan.
So nothing on this.
No, it goes, it has to go to chapter one.
But- on that note, and maybe we're saying that already in here, or maybe we're not.
And if I will read this again and see if there's a way to insert it in here so no one gets their false hopes up that they can, you know, start this 90-day or 60-day process while simultaneously starting with the planning board. As I say, you'd never do any
I
other
think
way.
under permit application for operation, you have those 3 steps.
Where are you talking
Well,
about?
under, under section 4, permit application for operation. I think that's where you would, or maybe permit requirements. No, it would go into permit. Either 4 or 5, that's where you'd want to list those, the 3 steps. Step 1, they gotta get the state stop. Step 2, they go to the selectmen. Step 3, they go to the planning board.
For under A, planning board review, say that the planning board will not review your application until you have these 2 other things.
Yes,
Put under planning board.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
That's fine.
Should I know we stipulated a time on these meetings, 5:30 to 7 o'clock, it's 7:05. Does everyone want to push through the first,
I'm gonna go with that.
2 more pages in.
is everyone good with that?
Yeah, we might as well just finish. And there's nothing we can really change.
I asked the question, I just didn't know if these were like marathon meetings, but perhaps leaving until.
You know, it's really tedious.
Well, we just did it, this is our first meeting with a time frame on it. And like, in the planning board, if we go after 9 o'clock, right, we have to take a
No one's
vote.
ever here. But I mean, this is meant, I
This is
don't know
the
about
only
you guys,
way
but
we
this
used
is
to do
mentally
it.
taxing work. I mean, it's not like you're sitting here, you know,
Yeah.
reciting the alphabet.
Mhm.
Under permit fees, on A,
Yeah.
except the gas type. Big space.
Oh.
Read the typo?
Yeah,
Just a big space.
Oh. Receipt of the, initial renewal permit fees. Is the town of Bethel going to be allowed to issue a permit fee?
I don't know.
Because and that's nothing that has to be addressed in this?
The select board does fees.
Okay.
anyway.
Pat, there were fees attached to some of the other town fees, attached to some of the other ordinances that we looked
Yeah,
at. right?
and we opted to knock them out because we didn't know what was good and what was bad. So we said we'll leave it up to the town because they have to have their prices set anyways.
Jewel looks like she's come. Sure.
I have some, what I thought was valuable information. Some of the towns do have fees attached to their ordinances, but when I talked to the code enforcement officer from Paris, they did not. And they said pending, and he said one of the reasons is because if the select board sets the fees anyway, if you put it in an ordinance and you want to change them, you have to go through changing the
Yeah.
whole
We
ordinance.
have a separate fee
But
schedule.
if
Yeah.
you
Oh, okay,
put it on
all
a
right.
fee schedule, you can change
Right,
it
yeah,
every
and
month
that's
if you want
how we
to.
have all our
Yeah.
fees
And
currently.
so that's why
That's why
they
we
did it that way,
Yeah.
and that's why we
That's-
did it this way.
Yeah, we can't,
We talked about
yeah, we don't wanna put,
No.
we can't.
Again, it's like
Yeah.
referencing a map, then you have to change the
Okay.
ordinance, you know,
Right.
No, the question was, are we allowed to do fees? And-
Yeah.
Because I know we can't do it local tax,
Yeah.
right?
No, we can carry
Not
it.
tax, they can fee, yeah.
Sometimes you can twist things and get them out of taxes and into fees.
So, under B, in suspending, revoking, or refusing to renew a permit, I think we should have something in there, I think that's where it would go, that somebody wants to appeal,
I think it,
being revoked or appeal. Does town have any authority as suspending?
I don't know.
May suspend, revoke, or refuse to renew a permit, to renew, but you mean if they wanted to go in and just revoke it?
It doesn't matter what,
Right.
whether they suspend or revoke, renew, whatever. The applicant or the
well, I know the selectmen do have have that
Yeah.
right, and it's based, again, if you go to the next page, there's probably a complaint
Right.
from someone, and then you look at, okay, how many times have they parked there? They parked there and thrown out, whatever.
Just like a liquor
Anyway.
license, so if your establishment repeatedly is annoying its
Right.
neighbors, you can,
I can appeal it.
okay.
Are these as strict as alcohol?
I don't know.
Has there ever been an alcohol license revoked in
By the town,
midterm,
by the
or
town.
even after their
I don't know,
year?
Don Bennett might, I don't know anything about liquor licenses.
I mean, I think it would be.
We haven't had to
rare.
deal with anything.
Well, we've had some arguments over on some of them, but nothing,
Yeah.
or people have argued with them.
I'm just wondering if we
But
wanted to exist the same strength as what we have for our alcohol.
I can ask Kristen Mason what I don't know, I don't have anything to do with liquor licenses.
Did you look at that?
But either way.
And you gotta
there should
remember,
be-
they recite Title 28B. so
Suspension
what's
of
that?
licenses, is this aligned to the alcohol ones?
No, we didn't, no.
You,
But either way, under that,
This came
a
from basically from the
three
state.
or a new thing, they're entitled to appeal it, or,
Absolutely. There's like, unless you've gone to the Supreme Court, everything can be appealed.
right, so basically what I'm saying is we should have that in here,
Some method of appeal.
that says,
Means of appeal.
yeah, I mean.
Let me talk to
you-
Kristen Mason about how it's.
Yeah, I would like to see how they work
Okay.
for the alcohol.
And again, I think everybody, if you're that curious about it all, you gotta find Title 28B.
Okay.
I mean, we've
It's
got
referenced,
it,
it's referenced 3 or 4 times here.
Okay.
we've got in everything else.
Yeah, absolutely.
With signs and.
Absolutely.
oh yeah.
You have to be able to appeal stuff. This isn't,
Right, all of it needs to be in here,
I agree.
and there may be another,
So are we on to regulations?
Yeah,
and I think all the rest of that stuff is
is boilerplate.
spoiler, has to be done.
Yep.
I mean, it's all by,
28B.
Yeah. Okay. So the way I'll do this, actually, what gets presented to the select board obviously will not be a strike through because the entire ordinance will be brand new, but for the purposes of us tracking our changes, I will do this as a Word document strike through so that you'll see, additions in italic red and you will see deletions in red strike through. So, and the draft will be dated so we can keep track of what our work looks like. So for homework, I will update even though we're striking reference to the map from the draft ordinance, it is a very good visual aid, so we will update the map to include that daycare center. If anybody, as they're, mulling over their life over the next couple of days, thinks of something else that they believe should be in here, that'd be great. And then your homework, in addition to reading, I will ask you to get some, I'm a little concerned it's taken us one night to go through one ordinance. And we have 3 more plus plastic bags. So I'm just a little concerned I think that some of, what, this is,
I think there's a lot of this is
I-
redundant.
It is.
The retail one's probably the hardest one.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what we
The
did.
other ones
For
are.
the ones
Okay.
that I read,
I
for
just
the
don't
first
wanna
3,
run out
there's a
of-
lot of redundance.
and we have changes to section 18. But now, actually, now that we know we need to amend the site plan ordinance to conform with this, that's yet one more ordinance that needs to be amended so that the two of them align, and that makes all the sense in the world, so that's one more thing to add to our list.
So if you do the strike-throughs and the deletions, will we review those? Should we review those at the next meeting before we go on to the next one?
I would, yes,
We'll review those so that one is done.
right. So
What will be the
again,
next one
we,
we do after?
and then Jim has had numbered them.
When we went over and we did,
Yeah.
the other day, we talked about.
So that's gonna
the
be next
cultivation would be
week.
the next one. followed by manufacturing, followed by testing.
And this should just take us a few minutes.
And we have also the, the medical marijuana, medical marijuana storefronts coming. That was in our charter.
The only question I have, and I'm not trying to be difficult, does the select board need to review that first, or do we just go ahead and add it to our file?
I'm certain,
That we just add it to our file? Okay.
I don't think there'd be any problem with that.
What's the
What's
biggest
the difference
difference
between-
between,
Well, we didn't really think there was either, so it's gonna be pretty much redundant on that one too.
But why do you need two then?
They'll probably, well, it's
Because
one's
it's
medical, one's
classified
not.
as- And you have to clarify, define.
that, I kinda guessed that, but I didn't know if there was anything majorly different between the
Actually,
two.
it's more lenient than these are, as far as the state,
the
The
medical
setback's
side.
only 500 feet.
yeah. So it's,
Oh, because you need a prescription from a
yeah.
licensed something.
I don't know,
Okay,
I
That
gotta
makes
look up
sense.
the schools, because now they changed the law, you can actually, if you're a medical marijuana patient, your parents can come in on school property and administer marijuana in the state.
Yeah. So.
The big thing, and the thing is defining
the agenda.
what is a medical marijuana caregiver retail storefront, because
You could
they can't regulate, like me, I'm
First and
building one of my own property on my personal residence, which the town can't,
Yeah, you're correct, yeah.
regulate according to state. So
Because we have planned, yeah, so. planning
what is
board-
what do you really wanna call it? I mean, we'll put a definition behind it.
Yeah, and that kinda, you could actually have both the same,
This is after marijuana's
You
done.
could.
Whatever marijuana.
and they don't have
So,
to
I
be
mean,
separated.
we, by all means,
One has
take
to
a
be-
copy if
they do
you're
have to be
familiar with,
separated,
and in
though.
case you get
Okay.
done,
Yeah,
I'd be
it's-
surprised.
Like even in Colorado, when you walk into one and there's medical and rec, one side's recreational, the other one's medical, and they're two different doors when you walk in.
So
Okay,
the
It
next
is
meeting is
separate,
the 20th,
yes.
correct?
yes,
Okay.
okay. So,
Do you need some, what do you need?
yeah, no, I agree, but would it make
You
sense
can have that if you
to
want.
have
This is
all,
Would you like it?
Sure.
all of it the same distance setbacks?
That's
I
what
mean, we could move that, you could move that up.
I thought.
I mean, I think that's fair anyways, because I feel the residents of Bethel don't want this stuff downtown.
Try to get.
No.
That's-
and
And if you put the 1,000 feet, you just took the town out of the picture.
I think it would be less confusing.
Right.
Yes, that's what I
You can do
thought
that too.
And it would be.
Because the state just says a minimum of 500, and
Right.
then they give you permission to move it to the 1,000, so.
So
I just think that
Sarah,
if we kept everything at the same, it would
We
be
want them at the jail.
easier across the board, it'd be easier to understand, we wouldn't get Joe Schmo here going, wow, you know, why is he? I don't know if that's really medical, but, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
and they would say, why does medical have different rulings than recreational? I mean, yeah, it's a whole bunch of,
I think we just
Yeah,
need opening
yeah,
a
worms.
bigger
Can
can
of
of
worms,
worms.
I agree.
so Sarah, I have a
The
question,
first
and
Wednesday
then
of the
I'm
month is
probably
like
gonna
the
leave, but,
president in June.
Oh, God.
how many meetings do you have to work on
Oh,
these?
5:30.
That's a question that I have. I'll ask Kristen Mason when all of this has to go to public
Yeah.
hearing in order to be legally
To be on
obligated.
June?
If
Let me
it's,
find out, because as I said, that's where I was kind of going with the question that I had. We've got a lot of work to do and not that much time, so.
But
so
they are
2
pretty
weeks
consistent
for a
with
public
each other,
hearing.
too, so
Right.
that should help.
So would you be
Yeah, it'd be
able
like April, I
to
think,
have
or something
additional
like that.
Yeah, I
meetings?
think I remember it
And we can
being,
notify you of that?
We have to have this all done by late April.
It's all gonna be, yeah, it will all, it's all public, all meetings will be, as I say, the
So,
rules of
we wanna
procedure
try
that
to
were
get these done
adopted,
for
the meetings are
marijuana
the
one
first
back
and
to the
third
selectmen.
Wednesday.
Right.
And then it also says that additional meetings may be called.
no, for
So-
town meeting, public hearings,
Yeah, we certainly,
No, the ordinance review
Because it
committee
could be
be called
kicked back to us
meetings, is
again,
what,
right?
so in addition to the first and
Or
third Wednesday, you have
push it-
specified.
But
I think especially with this, it's gonna be highly doubtful
to go
because
to
they
Oh,
take
town
down a lot of
meeting,
work
yeah.
on it. Once
public
you
hearings
get
in
through
2
it,
weeks.
I mean, the question
And
I'm
then
gonna
2
have
weeks
as a
notice.
selectman is this compatible
So
with
we
the
may,
ordinance?
And
but
then this stuff has to be,
You know,
Like you
is
say,
that the
it
same,
was already.
this is actually not gonna be voted on at the actual town meeting,
What
which
you
is
just
the day
said.
before.
But the, you
So
know.
they got the
Oh,
machine
okay.
for it.
So I have-
So the whole town ordinance.
Okay,
is
so the
all
whole-
40 or
the
50.
Yeah, the ordinance, yeah,
The
planning
schedule
board.
that I
It's
have
still
published on
the-
my
I think
agenda
that's what the
tonight,
selectmen are gonna
I have
motion.
these running through April
Consider
12
17th.
hours apart.
Yeah,
These meetings running.
no, I just,
It's a
they
double
did that
deal
so
More
that,
than enough.
that
Yeah.
this is going to.
No, I-
my
that makes
personal
sense.
feeling is at a town meeting, not enough people show up. I mean,
Well,
they will on
and
this.
So as
it
long
can
as this
be,
is 99% good,
there can be
then
influences.
it's,
yes,
they're just gonna.
exactly.
they
You
didn't
can
have
change
meetings where it
things,
works.
you yeah. I learned my lesson last time.
We sat there, I was on the budget
I
committee for years,
don't
we
know
sat
if we
there and
can,
we'd go through the stuff and people on the,
make it a
people on the
referendum
committee
question or not. I think we
have it in their head that, oh, let's do everything in one
drawn a
night.
blank on that, but,
But that'll be up to you
Why do
guys
we
to
have
figure
to
that out,
do-
right?
yeah.
Rush everything through one
I think
night.
that's, I think
And
that's
then
actually
their whole attitudes
what we
are,
thought was.
it doesn't matter
And
what
we
we
want
do,
something
people
because
can
as
go
soon as
in
you
there.
walk into town meeting, throw it all away.
Yeah, cause somebody's gonna go,
Like
I wanna make a motion, and the next
Right,
person's
right,
gonna go, I'll second that.
So we have some control.
Some control,
And
right?
it's happened.
So if it's
Oh,
at the
yeah.
town meeting, then that can be explained that we want something.
Yeah.
When it's on a ballot, then you don't have that opportunity to explain things as well as at the town meeting where you can say, we want something on the ballot.
Yeah, Sarah, because when you're done with it, it still has to go to,
It always
does
is
it go back
back.
to the selectmen,
Oh,
or
yeah.
does it go to
The other
the attorney?
argument for an awful lot of people is
I
they
don't-
don't wanna
I think
stand
it
up
goes
at
to the
town
attorney
meeting
first, and then it goes to
On the
the.
ballot.
and pick
I
away
don't
at something
personally
because
send
they're,
them to the
If what?
attorney, I don't
frankly,
have a
they're
budget
a lot of
for
people
people,
that
so, I mean, I give them to the town, you know, I give them to
Yeah.
the town
I
manager.
think wrongly see some of this stuff.
Well, we understood, yeah, it would go from you to the
Uh,
attorney to
you know,
the selectmen, but I may be wrong.
I'm against.
I
That's what they
don't know.
voted on, was to have it on the
Facility or
ballot.
something.
That's what they
I,
got
I
the
might get
machine
shouted
for.
down, or
I give them
get
to the town manager, I
targeted,
couldn't tell you what happens.
you know, by a neighbor that
Well, I
lives next to
mean,
me
time frame,
that's part of this.
you have to have,
That's why
you know,
sometimes their referendum, being able to understand it and vote on it.
Before we go, I do have, I know I said I wouldn't mix, you know, apples and oranges, but I am going to mix apples and oranges just for enlightenment. One major concern that was brought up about the plastic bag legislation is apparently Carl Glidden is having a meltdown down at the IGA on the fee for paper bags. He, as we all know, he has a tenuous agreement with Hannaford, and Hannaford does not charge him for for paper bags. He therefore absolutely adamantly does not want any language in any ordinance in Bethel to include him being required to charge for paper bags. He's concerned that if he is required to charge for paper bags will be yet another nail in his coffin from the Hannaford Parent Organization. So he does not apparently have any, I mean, I'm sure he's not thrilled with, I don't know that, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I've not spoken to him directly, but I was asked to convey to you that the requirement that you have to pay for paper is
Why
not.
do they
I
have the
think-
requirement?
I don't
I don't
want
know.
to pay
I asked
for
Sarah to take that. I suggested to Sarah that she move it.
Again, I don't want to, I'm not.
So did she? Because we never said
I don't
anything.
know. I know it's still in there. And it just FYI, that is highly objectionable
You left,
to.
you left Monday night before, this came up, and I actually said, apologize to you guys, but that I would like to see it come back to us, because that's one of the things I wanted to work on, because I'm concerned that we can get it through with that condition. And Pete Southam, I think, really wanted to just push it through on Monday night as is.
I'm just again, I don't want to, I'm not.
Guys, thank you.
I don't want
I'm not,
paid.
The next meeting's the
to
20th,
use paper.
February 20th.
oh, yes.
I think that's
Well, if there's
ridiculous.
anything I've learned in almost 21 years of doing this, the minute you mess up process, you're in trouble. And that's why that paper bag, plastic bag, whatever it is, needs to come back here, because the minute you go to a public hearing on something, somebody say,
I
well,
know. I'm just, again.
I don't know.
yeah, you
you
went
guys-
down there
I'm not
and
expressing,
that
I'm just
group
saying.
had a fit because
I
there was
don't
a
know
bad
why.
audience, and they just shoved it back, did they look at it?